Hello beer tubers and welcome to another beer review with me, Peter, the master of hobbits, looking at another traditional beer style, a style I haven't drunk in a while, and one that's slowly kind of getting drunk a lot around the world, especially in Germany right now. This is another traditional German beer style. We're looking at some Märzen. So I actually got a comment the other day on the channel, and an old ass review is like, "You have a funny way of pronouncing Marzen." I think it was an American who commented it actually, but he thought it was quite funny because I said Märzen. Well, it's pronounced Märzen. It's a German beer style. It is actually named after the month of March, which is März in German. So it's named after that month because that's usually when the beer style was brewed. And then some was released, but also a lot of stuff was saved, or at least some was saved for releasing for the fests. And not just Oktoberfest, because there's many different... Oktoberfest is the biggest, most well-known one, but there's lots of small beer fests like that around Germany, like Bergkirchweih, and there's many different ones in Bavaria. So the style originates from Bavaria. It's a darker lager style, a little bit stronger in alcohol compared to a lot of other lagers from Bavaria, like the Helles. Not as dark as the Munich Dunkels or Munich Dunkellager, but it's kind of like fits in between. But actually a lot of modern, if you go to Oktoberfest, a lot of modern day examples are clear, golden yellow beers. But they're sold as Märzen beers, but originally they'd have a little bit more dark color to it. They would use a bit more Munich malt, maybe a touch of caramel malt of sorts, but mostly often Munich malts. So it's fun. There's been a bit of a shift. But the most authentic ones you want to find are the ones that have a color like this. So that's pretty much what you'd expect from a Märzen beer. It probably looks a lot like what we in Denmark would call a classic, which is a beer style that doesn't exist, but weird Danish hybrid on traditional Bavarian beer. But this one is a beer that I actually got from my brewmaster Tom, so thanks to Tom for this one. This is from Brauhaus Saalfeld, and this is the Ur-Saalfelder Märzen beer. So these guys, I've never heard of this brewery. Tom said they make some nice lagers. And he was in Germany and picked this one up for me to check out. So it's brewed with water, barley malts, and hops. According to the German Reinheitsgebot, is 5.6% alcohol. So it's been a minute since I had a Märzen, so this will be fun. I think that last time, like, Oktoberfest season is getting very close. I think the last time I reviewed a Märzen might have been for Oktoberfest years ago. But it pours a nice, lightly kind of copper color, I'd say, in the glass. It looks very copper. Not much head, but I poured in a lot of beer, taking pictures, all that. But you can generate a nice small amount of like slightly beige foam on there. It's a bit hard because the glass is this full, but it really looks like what we could call a classic in Denmark. But let's check out the aroma on the Ur-Saalfelder Märzen beer. Yeah, it's almost like smelling like a lighter Bock, if you can say it like that. Like Bock beers are usually stronger in alcohol. They have more Munich malts and whatnot, and dark malts. And there's like the dark ones, and there's the Doppelbocks. But this is somewhere in between. I mean, I'm getting that kind of sweet Munich malt aroma, but it's not as into hefty, like toasty, super toasty bread as you get in like a Dunkellager. But it smells a lot like what Danish people would associate with a classic, and it's probably one of like the weirdest styles. And here in Denmark, they don't even like, when they do those, they just pour in, the big breweries that make them, they just pour in like caramel coloring to color a lager often, and instead of using Munich malt. But this has a bit of like this toasty breadiness. On top of that, you're getting some crisp, clean kind of finish from the yeast, like that clean lager yeast finish with a bit of a, yeah, like a slight soft, almost like fruity ester or something like that. And there's definitely a little bit of like this sweet, crisp Pilsner malt aroma, and also some hops, interestingly enough. There's a little bit of this grassy, yeah, mostly grassy, maybe even hay-like hop aroma. Yeah, it smells pretty decent. Let's give it a taste, guys. Cheers, and thanks to Tom for the beer. It tastes much better than the Danish classic, because it actually has caramel flavors. Oh, it's pretty refreshing. Like, it's funny, a lot of American breweries I've heard about now are trying to do like oak tank aged lagers, like fermenting them in oak tanks, like starting to do it like traditional way, which is really cool. But this is actually pretty decent. It's not a mind-blowing Märzen, but it tastes rather well brewed. Caramelly sweet Munich malt flavor without being too much. A little bit of a crisp Pilsner malt flavor to it as well, like that sweet malty flavor. Hops, in terms of hops, you shouldn't usually expect much from Märzen, but there's just a sing of it. Just a light, bitter, hoppy flavor, slightly grassy, maybe a bit peppery. I said hay-like, not so much, but it's not a lot. It's mostly the malt you're tasting, like slightly, some would say juicy, malty flavor, actually, like caramelly, almost juicy malt flavor, if you can say it like that. But Märzen is never, like the caramelly German lagers, I've never been a big fan of, except when they're smoked. Like the Rauchbiers, and I have one I'm going to have after this, I've always enjoyed a lot. I much prefer the brighter lagers, like the Helles or the Pilsners, when it comes to the German lager beers. Except sometimes I do enjoy a nice double buck. It's not a style I drink a lot at all, and neither is this. But yeah, I don't know. Personally, I'm not just that into this kind of like caramelly, malty flavor that you get in the lagers, unless it's like this is like this weird like hybrid thing, like slight hoppy, slight bready, malty caramel, because it's definitely got like bready and toasted bread notes. I prefer like the full-on malt flavor you get on like a double buck more, which is super caramelly, but I like it a bit more than like this. But if you're from Denmark and you love drinking classic, I think you would love this. This is like a premium classic, if you can say that. Probably be a while since I've had a beer style like this again, and this is something that's gonna, like, if you had BJCP or if you did a Cicerone and a beer style like this would come up in your tasting, it'd be super hard to pick out what it was, but it's decent. It's just nothing that's really gonna rock your world or anything. It's just a well brewed Märzen that is tasting what it's supposed to taste like according to style. So rating wise, for the Ur-Saalfelder Märzen beer, I'm thinking like a 78. It's a decent beer. It's a drinkable beer, but it's nothing that's ever going to rock my world. And as I said, I much prefer the brighter characters of something like a Pilsner or a Helles or something like that. Or the smoked beers, which I really love. But it's definitely worth a shot for sure. If you're sitting down in Germany and Bavaria, this is something I'd drink. So if you guys had a chance to try the Ur-Saalfelder Märzen beer, let me know what you thought of it. What is your favorite Märzen? Is there anyone that you think that's like, this is really, really good? Because there's definitely some examples out there. And it's not a style I've drunk too much of either. So let me know. And as always, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And I'm going to say cheers. And see you guys in another beer review.